Hey guys, how's it going? Today we're going to look at the Sony Xperia XA2. This is a phone that was released in 2018, so it's over 2 years old now. So pretty interesting design elements about this phone is that it has the typical Xperia design language. So it's got this rectangular shape here, and the screen here has been extended all the way to the side, so there's almost no bezels on the sides here, which is really nice. So on my Xperia XC1 Compact, you can see that there are still some side bezels here, and they've almost totally removed it with the XA2. And it is a bigger device, so I'll give you the rundown of the specs here. It's a 5.2-inch IPS screen with a full HD display. That's 1920 by 1080. It comes installed with Android 8, although you can upgrade it all the way to Android 10 now. And it has a mid-range Snapdragon processor, so yes, this is not a flagship phone. This actually has a slower processor than my XC1 Compact, despite the fact that it's newer and bigger. It has a Snapdragon 630, whereas my Xperia had the 835 in it, and Adreno 508. It does have a micro SD card slot right here, along with the SIM card, although I think it's very difficult to get the SD card tray, so I don't know what Sony was thinking here. They should have put it all in one tray. I don't know why there's another one stuck in here. But anyways, they have micro SD if you can get that tray out. Comes with 32 gigs of storage and 3 gigs of RAM. And it has a camera on the back here, which is 23 megapixel f2.0. And as many people who have owned Sony phones know, their phone cameras aren't all that spectacular compared to their standalone cameras. So that's unfortunate. But yeah, probably nothing special from the camera there. And it has a front-facing 8 megapixel camera as well. So another thing is they kept the headphone jack. That's what I like about a lot of these Sony Xperia phones. They were one of the last Android phone makers to ditch the headphone jack, but they're bringing it back, I believe, with the new Xperia 1 2. I know that's Sony's really bad at naming their phones, but I believe with their new flagship model, they are bringing the headphone jack back, which is something I wish Samsung would do as well. But yeah, 3.5 millimeter jack with a full 24-bit 192 kilohertz. This makes Sony Xperia devices. That's why I used Sony Xperia devices for a while as my main music player, because they are really good for playing music. And then the fingerprint sensor moved to the back. So usually in their older phones, Sony actually had the fingerprint sensor on the side here, side mounted, which I actually liked. But now they have it on the back, which is also okay. This is the same placement that a lot of other Android phones have it as well. So that's fine. And they also have NFC on the back here, which a lot of Sony Xperia devices have. I noticed that Sony tends to be pretty big on NFC. A lot of their devices have it. So if you have a Sony device like a headphones or earphones or other devices, it actually makes it very convenient to pair with. So I find myself using NFC a lot since I have a lot of Sony devices. It is a lot more convenient than manually pairing it with Bluetooth. So it's nice they have it on here. A lot of Android phones I find they pretty much just leave out NFC, but Sony's pretty big on that, so that's cool. So yeah, that's the spec rundown on this phone. Of course, it charges with USB-C as well. I don't like that I only have a mono down-firing speaker here. I really wish they would have the stereo speakers that are front-facing like the Xperia XC1 Compact has, right? So I did a video comparing the XC1 Compact sound with the down-firing speakers of the iPhone SE, and you can just obviously tell how much better the stereo front-firing speakers are. So I don't know why Sony got rid of that in this phone. They should have kept that. But otherwise, a very sleek-looking device. The power button is a very small, round power button. I'm used to the rectangular button on Sony phones. And of course, they have the camera shutter button as well. That's also a very prominent feature of Sony phones that other Android phone makers, they seem to have removed this button. But Sony still keeps the camera shutter button, which is pretty nice. And the volume rockers right here, of course. So why am I talking about this phone, this 2-year-old phone now? Well, I actually installed an operating system on it called Sailfish OS. And for those of you who don't know, Sailfish OS, it's basically a continuation of the old Nokia-backed Maemo and MeeGo operating systems, which are both Linux-based. So basically, there was on the old Nokia devices, they were transitioning away from Symbian and trying to find an operating system to compete with Android and iOS. So at the time, they chose Maemo, and that was a Linux-based operating system. And then they switched to kind of evolved to MeeGo from that. And then unfortunately, they got taken over by Microsoft at that time because they weren't doing so well. And then Microsoft forced them to use Windows Phone. But the the team, some of the members behind the team Amigo continued to develop that operating system and eventually became, this is a Sailfish operating system, is the spiritual successor to Migo, and eventually became that. And there's a Finnish company called Yola. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That is developing this operating system, and it is open source. It's Linux based and everything. So yeah, I think Sailfish OS is pretty cool. I did a video a few years back on the Intex Aquafish, which was a phone that was running Sailfish OS 2.0. This operating system I installed is Sailfish X, which is a special version of Sailfish just for Sony Xperia phones, which I believe is based on Sailfish OS 3. So we're going to take a look at it. They do have a free version, a paid version. The paid version does have Android app support. It's about $30. So I got it and I installed it on this phone. You have to unlock your bootloader and you go through a bunch of steps, but it worked pretty flawlessly for me. All right, so let me show you Sailfish X. All right, so this is what the lock screen looks like. You can swipe to the left or to the right to enter the security code and the emergency phone dialer right here. But I'm just going to use my fingerprint to get past that. All right, so you can choose from a variety of different wallpapers here just by dragging up here. This is actually a very smooth operating system, which is what I noted in my review of Sailfish OS 2.0. So Sailfish OS 3 or Sailfish X kind of continues this theme of just having very, very smooth UI, right? And this is originally, derived from Migo. So you can see that all these icons and everything, it's very, very smooth. It's very, very flat looking. So very reminiscent of the material design that Google uses. But it's pretty nice. So you can select your wallpaper from up here. So this is a glacial. So you can see immediately it kind of just changes like that. Right, and you can swipe to the left and right to get access to your widgets. Right now I only have weather and notifications right here if you have any. So you have the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, airplane mode, flashlight, location, hotspot. So you have all these quick access functions from the top, just like you would on Android. You can choose Airy. Again, very, very smooth switching wallpapers like this, or themes rather. Rolling, yep. Very nice as well. And let's go back to the Sailfish 3 default wallpaper right here. All right, and from the menu that you pull down from the top, you have quick shortcut buttons, connect, note, alarm, and selfie, which launches the camera. And you can also customize these as well. So you can do organize, go to top menu settings. If you go to top menu settings, then you can choose your favorite ambiences, which are themes and wallpapers. You can also choose how to rearrange these and which ones you want to show on that top menu once you pull down from the top, so you can arrange those and customize them. So that's pretty cool as well. There's a lot of different options you can do here. So these are all for that top menu when you pull down from the top. So that's pretty cool as well. And then if you swipe down from the bottom, you have access to your apps here. Now there isn't that many Sailfish OS apps. As you would expect, it's not Android or iOS, but you do have a few. So let's go to the Yola store. And of course, this phone does have access to, or does have support for Android apps up to 8.1, I believe. So up to Android 8.1, it can run Android apps as well, since I got the paid version of Sailfish X. But we're just going to look at the Sailfish store right here, right? So you guys can see what kind of apps there are in the Yola store. So I'm sure you guys have access to Google Play Store, so you know what kind of apps are there. But the Yola Store, okay, so you can go to top apps right here. So yeah, I already got a lot of these installed, the file browser, Android app support, right? Sailfish Utilities, the YouTube player, weather, MeCast, let's see. So this is what one of the app screens looks like. If you ever want to install it, you just pull down from the top and then there's the install option. Now you go back by pressing this little light right here. Go back. Now if you ever want to go back to the home screen, right, on Android, you would press that home screen button, and same with iOS, you would just swipe down from the bottom to go to the home screen, right? Where on Sailfish OS, you actually just swipe to the left and it'll go to the home screen. And here you have the most recently used apps right here. It's kind of like pinned right here, right? So go back to the store, calculator, you have a Twitter client, RSS feed client. So you have a bunch of apps here. So it's not like a empty app store. I would say it's definitely more in development than Windows Phone apps were, right? Or BlackBerry apps were. So you have Android and iOS, and then probably after that, I would say you have Sailfish. Yeah, because in terms of mobile operating systems, there's really not a whole lot. I would say the only other really operating systems that are in development are the proprietary one that Huawei's using, right? That's because they can't access the Android or Google Play Store, so they're using at least like a forked Chinese version. And then you have some of the Xiaomi ones, right? The Color OS. You have CyanogenMod, which is based on Android. But I would say Sailfish OS is among those that are being pretty actively developed. It's not like BlackBerry. It's not like Windows Phone. Like those are probably pretty much totally dead. But at least it's being actively developed for. So yeah, it's a Sailfish app store right here. Apps, games, all the marketplaces. So this is the phone dialer right here. I don't have my SIM card in here, but this is what the dialer looks like. Okay, very standard dialer here. History, people, you can create new contacts. But anyways, these are YOLO developed apps, so you can see they kind of share the same design language here. So I'd say that this way is a very, very smooth way, UI-wise, of doing things, right? So yeah, that's how you do that. And then camera is nothing special. Like this camera is nothing special, but here you would just actually like do this way for video, right? Just swipe down and swipe up. Very, very fluid, right? And very responsive. So do the selfie right here. You can't really see much because, yeah, low light and this camera's not that great. People, let's see, people, no contacts. Yeah, can add a contact here. Yep, and this is your phone book. You can add note, add address, date, website, in detail. Okay. Gallery. These are our photos right here. So we have some sample photos loaded on this image. All right. So here are photos here. So standard photo app. The landscape. This one's a portrait. Right. So nothing too special about this app. It's just, and then you just swipe down to go back, which I think is very fluid. So the thing I like about Sailfish OS is how fluid the operating system is, UI-wise, the gestures and everything. Pretty nice. It's just easy to use. This is what the settings looks like. I know settings might not seem interesting, but it is different than the way that Android does it, right? Let's choose ambiances. Yeah, these are our wallpapers here. We can choose a whole bunch of other ones too. Display, sound and feedback. I mean, it is a little bit different than what you see in Android, so that's why I'm showing you guys this. This is the usual stuff, the usual settings you would see in Android as well, though. And then Sailfish OS updates. I believe it is Sailfish OS version 3.3. Rokua is what it's called. Yeah, you have the Android app support, data counter transfers, developer tools. That's all here. By default, it has developer tools. You don't have to unlock it like you do in Android. Calculator, right? I actually do try to test out the calculator, and then you can do the scientific calculator in landscape mode. So I do like to just try out the calculator on a lot of my phones, actually. So the interface is different on a lot of them, because you never know what the interface might look like. All right, alarms, right? Stopwatch, timers. That's pretty basic there. No assistant thing. Okay, there's no like Google Assistant, no Siri, Alexa, Cortana, BlackBerry Assistant. That was a thing at one time. I don't think there's an assistant for Sailfish OS, which is fine. I don't even use that. No Bixby. Okay, I don't like Bixby either. So that's a good thing because I rarely use the voice assistants. So yeah, typical calendar here. Control down deeper and then swipe the months like that. Pretty easy. Email, media. This will be our music player and our movie players. Yep. So you can pull down from the top to do a search. And unfortunately, I don't have any songs or movies on here to play for you guys. But yeah, it's unfortunate. But this is what the media player looks like anyways. It's a file browser, right? So it's typical. Yep. You can do settings, search or paste here. Go to different folder. Yeah, okay. And we have, oh, here's the Android store. Finally downloaded. Alright, so let's see what we can search for in the Android store. I believe it says it supports Android apps up to 8.1. Yep, there's PUBG Mobile. So again, this is an app that obviously wouldn't exist on the Sailfish store, right? So PUBG Mobile, you know, there's no Sailfish OS version, but you can install it because it has Android app support. So I think Sailfish OS is cool that it has, although this interface is very, very, this looks like something from Android 2.3 or something, like this interface. But I mean, it does look like it just searches the entire app store though. Yeah. Because I know that one probably will not have, that one definitely wouldn't have a Sailfish OS app natively, but you can download the Android app right here. Right. So yeah, that's cool. So you got Pokemon Go. So yeah, basically any Android app that's supported up to 8.1, you have it here. I know the interface seems really basic, but I think it does search the entire Android app store. So that's cool. You have access to mostly everything. This is nice. The browser here. Here's the browser. Okay, so let's look at those YouTube videos through my browser. All right, so this is the Sailfish browser. Okay, so my usual website and gadget. All right, so of course browser works as you would expect. You know, it's not an outdated browser or anything. So there it is. So this, you have search, favorite, share right here. Whoops, you guys can't see that. Okay, so you have search, favorite, and share right here, and then you can add another one. So let's go to YouTube. So I want to see my videos. Alright, so you have access to your multiple tabs here as well. So it's cool they have you like a thumbnail to show you. So on the Android mobile Chrome, right, when you do the multitasking with different tabs, it gives you like small thumbnail versions, like WebOS type thumbnail versions or cards of the websites that you're viewing. So here you have more of like rectangular cards here that's kind of layered. And I think I'd like this style better actually. It's more modern. So that's cool, right? So I can switch back to Engadget like this. Right, so this is Engadget, and if I wanted to go back to my YouTube app, then I would just click here, click on the thumbnail, and then it's here. And then I would just search here. Let's try UMPC. And well, look at that. My video's in third right there. The third option is my video. My video is also here. And this is also my video as well. So let's take a look at my video here. And open it up. Let's turn the volume up to full. Again, this phone has almost no bezels on the side, which is really nice for watching videos. And has a native 16:9 aspect ratio, right? So that's no black bars, no letterboxing. Yeah, so this phone's pretty good for watching videos, I would say. The bezel-less sides make it really cool, really immersive. Again, the speakers are not that great. Obviously, the Xperia XA1 compact speakers are better. because it's downfiring. I really don't like it when companies put downfiring speakers. Really wish they would put them on the front like the Xperia XA1 did. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I put Sailfish X on the XA1 Compact? Well, I really like this phone. This is one of my favorite phones, the XA1 Compact. But it's not officially supported. So there's a list of officially supported devices. I believe they support the Xperia 10, but not the Xperia 5 or Xperia 1 yet. And of course they support the XA2. So there's only certain Xperia models that Yola supports with their Sailfish X versions right now. And unfortunately, the XA1 Compact is not one of them. So otherwise, I would have put Sailfish on here. Yeah, so that's why I'm showing you guys the Xperia XA2 running Sailfish X, because this is one of the models that's officially supported by Yola. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's Sailfish X. Pretty much got this phone just to install Sailfish X on it, because I really wanted to see what the Sailfish X was like. So again, you can put there's the notifications and your widgets on here, and then your home screen is basically all the apps that you've used recently. So I know it looks a little bit weird compared to Android, because in Android you have, in iOS you have all the icons here. You can click and launch apps. Here it's all your recently used apps, and then just swipe up to have access to all your apps. And yeah, the interface is very, very smooth. That's what I like about Sailfish. And you can install Android apps on this, so there really isn't too much of a downside to using Sailfish, actually, since you have access to all your Android apps as well, plus the Sailfish OS apps, right? Not really too much of a downside, and it is pretty snappy. Even though this is a mid-range processor, this is Linux, it is fairly snappy from what I've seen so far. And yeah, that's it, guys. That's Sailfish X running on the Sony Xperia XA2. And yeah, again, I think this could be your main operating system, because it's very, very fluid, flowing interface, and you don't even compromise on any of the apps that you use every day. You have access to pretty much all of them. So again, I don't see much downside to using Sailfish OS 3 or Sailfish X. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Leave me any comments or feedback in the comment section below.